Greetings. It is an honor, privilege, and a pleasure once again to be in the presence of a safe space, a brave place for men to heal, feel, and honestly, we're not canceling. We are counseling on counsel culture, and today I'm truly honored to be in the presence of the highest class of civilization. I mean, this brother is the author of multiple books, 7 books, 3 of which top sellers on Amazon's bestsellers list. And I mean, so much wisdom. I'm ready for this class because I'm in the presence of the student minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, author, activist, mentor, life coach, and entrepreneur, Brother Nuri Muhammad.
Man, Brother Nick, it's my honor to share space and time with you, mighty warrior.
Man, you know I'm a great fan. And student, man. I mean, you've been dropping wisdom for a while now. And honestly, I think where we are here, one of the reasons why I even, built this platform is, we need help, specifically as Black men in general. I'm calling this one Operation Black Men. We need rescuing.
Yeah.
Specifically, man, I there's so many topics that I want to dive into. Wanting to get to know yourself a little bit better, introducing to the audience those who may not be familiar with you. But then, even if we go and start off with a framing question, I'll personalize it, man. I need some fixing, man. There's so much going on in the world. I mean, it's constantly, we're bombarded with so much information. We're bombarded with so much, energy, some low frequency, some high frequency, and it's just trying to navigate through it all, man. How can you fix me, man? I need some advice. I'm on your couch today, man.
Let me say something to you, Brother Nick, and I know I speak on behalf of conscious people and people of goodwill of this nation and the world. We watch you and we admire your resilience, your fight, your drive, your focus, your self-discipline. And you have been a great example of navigating through the struggles and the storms of life and coming out and remaining your authentic you.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you.
That's my counsel.
Yeah, that's all I need. Yeah.
But it is, the beauty of you is that you are here. When it comes to operation on Black man, right now, there are more Black males born than there are Black females. But by the time the two reach the age 18, Black females outnumber Black males 7-1.
Wow.
That means that we're dying at the rate of an endangered species. So they got organizations and programs for the koala bear, for the bald eagle, for the blue whale, the white tiger, but what's there for the Black man? So to have this discussion hopefully will help us to look at it, because what is causing us to be eliminated from the face of the earth is homicide, it's suicide, it's life imprisonment. And those kind of conversations and fixing those problems will help us to stay on the scene so that we can escape being an endangered species.
Man, and one of the beautiful things that I've always admired about the nation is that you all have taken on that mission with great seriousness. Like you're not like saving us for decades. I mean, and it doesn't go unnoticed from, our brothers that are incarcerated, and they come out changed. For, people who are on the front line, showing up at every time, and showing not only that you care, that you're there to protect, that you're there to provide, but then you offer a tutelage, a way of life, a discipline that, brothers are susceptible to. I mean, brothers are really gravitating towards, it's street cats that change their lives and go on to be great leaders of their family. I mean, what do you believe that is? I mean, even with your own background, I mean, maybe where you started from and the man that you are today, how has these teachings, these disciplines, and this philosophy helped you become the man that you are?
Well, the reality is that there's a verse in the Bible that says this, in Malachi 3:6, it says, "I am the Lord, I do not change." This means that God has a pattern of doing things, He has a methodology. And when you unpack the Bible and the Quran, whatever sacred text you read, anytime that a people are in a mess, he gives them a messenger. When a people are warring with themselves, he raises a warner from among them. When a people are in a crisis, then Christ is. When they got problems, then a prophet arises. That's the mathematics of God. That's the way he works. So when you look at the people of the past, 5,000 years ago, Abraham, idol worshipers. 1,400 years ago, disrespecters of their women, intoxicants in Arabia. During the time of Jesus, they were bound by psychological oppression, being bound to rituals and laws, but not being true to themselves. During the time of Moses, it was slavery. So Noah, they was fighting and killing each other in the Mesopotamia. So when you look at all the conditions that all of the people had that brought birth to their prophets and their messengers, we have all of those conditions as a people at the same time as some new ones.
Right.
So we deserved intervention from God, and he gave us that, we believe, in the person of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. These become our men and women that come to give us our men to give us our way of devotion.
Right.
So that we can have a specific tailor-made spiritual system that fits the time and get the results that others have got. And that's what has happened from our being committed to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Right.
And like you said, no one can ever dispute. We in the people business, and the highest transformation rate of any group of people on another person is from those that have been touched by the teachings of the Nation of Islam.
Beautiful. So a little bit about yourself. I mean, how did you get to this space? What had
happened was
like,
when I was young, coming up, I was in the streets too. The neighborhood I grew up in, that's all everybody did was sell dope. So I was selling weed, 11 and 12, powder cocaine, 15, 16 years old.
Right.
And me and my partner, we were doing well in the sense of streets. But one day, I was sitting on a porch and a voice came in my head, and we were doing at that time, this is doing the powder cocaine when people had to cook their own dope, make it crack. We was doing a half ounce a day on the weekdays and an ounce on the weekends. So we was making back in 90.
Right.
$3,000 to $5,000 a week at 15 years old.
Wow.
So that, we was doing what we was doing.
For teenagers, absolutely.
Yeah, and it wasn't no cell phones, no, it was all pagers back then.
Right.
But so I was sitting on the porch one day and a thought came to my mind. I said, I wonder what the dope fiends were doing when they were my age. And I said, you know what? Instead of, I'm turning off all these pages. Instead of going to serve anybody, I'm just going to go to the liquor store, trap house, the alley, everywhere we serve, and I'm just going to interview everybody that we serve. And as I started interviewing them, Brother Nick, it blew my mind. I said, but let me ask you, what was you doing when you was my age? And the universal answer was, oh, we was getting money just like you. I said, but just getting money just like me, talking about cutting grass, painting houses? He said, no, we was hustling. I said, so you telling me that you used to sell dope and now you own it?
Wow.
And it dawned on me that if I'm doing what they were doing when I'm their age, then I'm en route to be doing what they're doing when I become their age. Right. And I said, I got to renegotiate my contract with life. Yeah. And so I started going to church trying to get it right. But anybody that's ever been in the streets knows it's just as hard to stop selling as it is to stop using. One's a fiend for the dope, but the other's a fiend for the money. For the dollar. And what you can get with the money. So I was a fiend. Yeah. And didn't know it. So I didn't feel like I was getting the strength to resist the pull of the streets. And a young sister that I went to school with was my girlfriend. She gave me a book, Message to the Black Man, 2 tapes by the minister. Right. And I never listened to it or read it, but one day I decided this church ain't work, I'm going to do it. Right. And I said, this is how I've been believing all of my life. Right. And I looked from the outside looking in, I said, man, this looks a little too disciplined for me. Yeah. I said, so if I can prove it wrong, I'm gonna leave it alone. But if I can't, I'm gonna commit myself 100%. Wow. But here I am, suited and booted. Yeah, so I put in 8 hours a day trying to prove it wrong, and my argument was defeated in 5 minutes. Wow. By the little brother on the doorpost at the mosque. So I said, all right. And I submitted, and I came in the ranks at 17. And 2 weeks later, the sister that gave me that book and tapes, she came in the ranks 2 weeks later. Oh, wow. We got married a year and a half later at 19. Wow. And God willing, if we make it July 5th, we'll be 30 years married.
Congratulations. Success, true
Yes, sir.
success.
Yes, sir.
That's a beautiful story. And it intrigues me. I mean, I'm sure even a lot of people out here watching and listening, if one wanted to join and be a part of the Nation of Islam, what are the requirements? Because from the outside looking in, it seems extremely disciplined. We know all the stereotypes, you know what I mean?
Right.
Bro, you get no pork, no white women, you know what I mean? Like, we know the everything we done seen in the movies, everything it just seems one would be intimidated.
Right.
You know, because when you see the brothers, they so pristine, they so sharp, the intellect is so high that you're like, man, I can't handle that. It's easier to go to church. It's easier to watch a podcast or listen than to step in. So one, in the practical sense, how would one join? And then two, like, what does it take for an individual young man who is at his last wits, at the bottom, but needs some saving, needs some discipline?
Yeah.
What does he need to bring to the table?
Well, it's we have a saying: "Come as you are, you just can't stay as you are." And that what we have found is that there's certain things knowledge won't let you do. So anytime that in life someone is struggling with doing something good for them that is hard, all they have to do is stack up enough evidence on the benefits of it, and it makes it easier to do. If you're doing something wrong or bad that is easy for you to do and you're having a hard time stopping, all you got to do is find out how much negative is in it and how much it's going to hurt you. And as you get ready to participate in whatever wrong you want to do, you start being haunted by your own thoughts, and the evidence shows up, and it makes it easier for you to resist the evil. On the flip side, do the good. So what happens in the teachings, we just ask you come and listen, don't commit, just come here. And inside of knowledge is evidence. And inside of evidence is conviction. And conviction allows your mind to throw your whole self at what you've learned. So the process becomes a lot easier just whenever you start feeding your mind on the supreme wisdom that we have to offer. So it's not, don't look at it from the outside in and think it's that challenging. Know this, that everybody in came from somewhere, just like where you are. So if they can do it, so can you. You just use your spiritual peripheral vision. And as you are moving through the process of trying to become the best version of yourself, it helps when you got other soldiers with you, striving to do the same thing.
Right.
And there's a saying by Prophet Muhammad. He said that the only knowledge that man keeps is the knowledge that man shares. So what ends up happening is, because this is a mission, resurrection of our people, restoration of our people. So as you go out and you are sharing that knowledge, it helps it to stay in you better. And you have such a sense of purpose that it's not as hard as it might look from the outside in.
So as a brother just could walk up to a mosque and just say, I just want to listen, I just want to learn.
Just coming to learn. I'm coming to listen, I'm coming to learn. And because, as you said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, he said, every time you look at a black man, you're looking at God. So serving the black man to us is serving God. Looking out for you is looking out for God. Caring for you is caring for God. So as a general theme, the kind of love that you're going to meet when you meet a brother, he's going to take you under his wing and try to coach you along. And because, there's a saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us. He said, find new people's associates immediately. And how do you find them? Find somebody that's struggling, that has overcome what somebody's struggling with. You show up and you struggling with womanizing, you struggling with heroin, you struggling with poverty, whatever it is. Well, we got a soldier right here that came from that same side of town that overcame heroin, that overcame this, and we linked him up. And now the brother can speak his language. He's on his frequency.
Right.
With the truth.
Right.
And letting you know, this is what I had to do. This is some of the tips that I had to employ. And the next thing you know, you got a strong soldier.
Man, I'm glad you said that, because the truth is what I want to dive into, in this operation. And it feels like the energy of the truth right now. The truth is the word of the year. You know what I mean? And what I've always admired and respected, and even, Minister Farrakhan even shared this with me personally, is the one thing about the truth, you don't have to defend it. It defends itself.
Yeah.
And what I've always admired is whatever the teaching, the philosophy, even as we say here, you're quoting the Bible, you know what I mean? That anything that is the truth,
Right.
that you all embrace it,
That's
you
right.
speak it, you don't run from it. What is it, why are people so afraid of what the truth is? And then how, like, I think my overall question is, when in dealing with this, because I want to dive into the truth even more, but isn't like if we're all speaking the truth of God and we're all really wanting the same thing, why is it so difficult for different ideologies and philosophies to get along? Because ultimately we're all seeking the same truth.
You teaching. But so what came to my mind as you said that is spiritual maturity. See, when you are spiritually mature, you respect the truth wherever the truth comes from. So most of us, we are engaged in religion, but we are religious gangbanging and spiritual set tripping. It's either you are with my denomination or you going to hell. But the fact, the truth is that even the term denomination is anti-God.
Yep.
And most people don't want to accept it, but God is bigger than your church. He's bigger than your mosque. He's bigger than your denomination. Matter of fact, he's bigger than your religion.
Right.
Denomination, the prefix D means to divide. Nami in Latin means name and a nation. So denomination is dividing up a nation with a name. And we seen that in the great writing of Willie Lynch.
Yeah.
He was hired in 1712 to be a business consultant to the slave traders in America. And he said, General, I got a foolproof plan.
Right.
That if you employ 1 year to be successful for 300 years, he said, all I've done is I've taken and outlined a number of differences among the slaves and I make them bigger than what they really are. And he named 11 different things: age, color, size of plantation, status, coarse hair, straight hair, 11. And he said 11 of these will make them perpetually disunited and disagreeable with themselves for 300 years, maybe even 1,000.
Yeah, and that story was revealed to us in the 70s, and it still feels like we haven't grasped that
We
concept.
haven't broken it.
If it's shown to us that it's, look, here's how they will divide you.
Yeah.
But even, like you said, even outside of our culture, we see it in great philosophers, great men of God. They still can't, if it's all the same truth.
Right.
Wars have been fought over this.
Well, no one has a monopoly on truth. So now here you have black people. Willie Lynch is saying I can make them disunited, disagreeable, and enemies of each other, self-refuel and self-perpetuate. You don't have to do nothing no more. They'll mess themselves up with these 11 for 300 years. Well, that would have been over in 2012. But here we are in 2024 and we still operating under the same So what have they done? They've allowed new differences, new labels that are really unnatural to create us into a perpetual cycle of disagreement. So now we are not just old versus young, male versus female, small plantation and I with the other. Now we Democrat, we Republican.
Right.
Now we Kappa, we Q. Now we Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, Church of God in Christ, we Sunni, we Shia. So all these new labels, they're really sub-labels that are subordinate to the real label we are that you find in Psalms 8:2-6. Ye are all God's children of the Most High God. So because we in the nation and we in Islam take a cosmopolitan approach toward religion, and not, cosmopolitan for those in the viewing audience. I'm not talking about the little naked white women on the magazine.
Right.
Cosmopolitan means universal.
Yeah.
We believe in all the messengers.
Yeah.
all the prophets, all of the revealed word that came from all of them, and we make no distinctions among any of them. So we respect the Torah like we do the gospel like we do the Quran, and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We see all of that as divine wisdom and truth. That's how you should be when you have spiritual maturity.
Right.
But unfortunately, a lot of our people don't. And I tell a story whenever I've been blessed to speak in a church. I said there was a man drowning in the river one day, and a Muslim and a Christian and a Jew showed up to save him. The Christian threw his rope out, and it was too short to save the man. Then here comes the Jew. He throws his rope out. It's too short to save the man. The Muslim throws his rope out. It's too short to save the man. Now they got one or two options. Either they gonna stand on the bank of the river and argue over whose rope is the best, or they gonna use some common sense and tie all three ropes together and save that man. So we at a stage right now where playing word gymnastics and spiritual pontificating and religious game banging and spiritual set tripping has to come to an end. Our people are dying in the streets. We gotta tie all the ropes together.
Tie it together.
So truth is truth.
Man, it's so powerful. You're saying so much. You teaching right now, and it almost even to the space of like, Carter G. Woodson with the miseducation of the Negro really says like we've been programmed, and to almost accept that we are lesser than, and even in our understanding. Even with the backdoor mentality, you
create a backdoor if we don't find one.
If we don't find one, we will create one.
That's what he said.
And it feels like that's exactly where everything is, specifically even in media, when speaking of the truth, because the truth is so apparent, and I want you to teach on this to where there's the truth, and then there's their truth, or a person. Like, it's almost like people rather, I want to project or pontificate my truth opposed to the truth, because like you said, there's no monopoly on the truth. We all can operate in that, but it feels like today, specifically in media, that we're about exposing one another or talking down on someone else, but I have to speak my truth, or I have no problem operating in a lower frequency because this is my truth. I mean, how does one know the difference? Because people are now mistaking the truth with my truth.
Yeah, well, that's deep. And unfortunately, no one has a particular brand of truth. Truth is its own brand.
Right.
So you can't have my truth and your truth. Truth is truth. But there in the Bible, there's a verse where God tells in Isaiah 55, he says, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. As far as the heaven is from the earth, it's as far as my thoughts and ways are from your thoughts and ways. Well, the diameter of the universe is 76 quintillion miles, so teaches the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's long. But he's saying that the man's knowledge is that far away from his knowledge. Man's way of doing things is that far away from the way he does things. So then he follows it up with this. He says, look, so lean not on thine own understanding. So whose truth do you have?
Right.
If you're saying my truth, you're saying I'm leaning. So lean not on thine own understanding, but in all thine ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path and show you the way. So mathematically speaking, what the God is saying, see, if you're leaning on something, you want it to support you.
Right.
What he's saying is that your own understanding does not have the authority nor the approval to support you long term. So there's another verse. So he says, bring every thought captive unto Christ. So whatever you're thinking on any given subject, our mindset should be, let me compare it to Revelation. Let me compare it to what God said on the subject. And if I take what I'm thinking and compare it to what God said, and it matches, I can keep it. But if I take it and compare it and it does not match, I got to kill it. And if we did that with every subject of life, then we would be able to say that we have let this mind be in you.
Wow.
The same mind that was in Christ Jesus. And since as a man thinketh,
so he do.
In his heart, so is he. And Christ had the mind of God. If you think like Christ and he thought like God, and now you have the mind of God, and as a man thinketh, now you are God.
Yeah.
And what can a God do? So that's the math that should be employed to help shake that my truth versus the truth.
Man, that's so powerful and so much wisdom. And then the way you break it down is very difficult to combat that. And you break it down so well in the mathematics of the mind. And we're definitely going to dive into the latest book. But I love how I feel like in this first session, we just scratched the surface. And you already, blessed us with so much wisdom. But, for all the young brothers and sisters who are checking this out for the first time, and knowing that, we're going to get an opportunity to unpack more. And, I know the comments going to be going crazy. And I want to know, what would your message be, initially for that hungry mind, for that thirsty soul out there that is really looking for that rescuing in that sense?
Well, as you said earlier, and we talked, we are not the proud, powerful, pious, or productive people we once were before we were kidnapped and Caucasianized and Westernized by our enemy. Mm-hmm. That's the facts. We built Timbuktu, the city of Atlantis, the Nile Valley civilization. We are the fathers and mothers of all art, science, and civilization. We've been in existence for trillions of years, and everything that's under the sun, we are the originators of it. But look at the state we are in right now. So anytime that you want to be restored or to return back to your original sense, there's three things you need for restoration. Number one, you need a prototype. Mm-hmm. Number two, you need a process. Mm-hmm. And number three, you need proof that the process works. So phase one is to know that if every time you look at a black man, you're looking at God. That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It's said different by David in the Psalms, ye are all God's children of the Most High God. A little different in Genesis, that you're created in the image and the likeness of God. That means everything that's true about God is true about you. Image and likeness means you're not a duplicate, you're a replica. A replica can look like, but a duplicate can look like, but a replica has the power and function of what it's a copy of. That's what we are. So we are born with that potential. So phase one of the process is the acquisition of a knowledge of self. I would encourage any young brother or sister to begin to baptize your mind into the rich knowledge of people that look like you, that accomplished great feats in the past. Then after that, get into scripture and know that everything you read about God is a part of you, and accept that as a knowledge of self. And if we did that, we would have a greater expectation of ourselves. We would have confidence in ourselves that would ultimately lead to Godfidence in ourselves when we really learn about those that look like us, that were divine, including the Supreme Being himself, that will give us a certain level of power. And to prove the point, there was in 2012, there was a study that you can look it up online. It's called the Obama effect. And in Harlem, they had a group of high school students that before he became president, took a test, 80% of them failed. They just said, let's do an experiment. Let's see what happens after Obama becomes president. Don't give them no new tutor, no knowledge, nothing. Don't teach them nothing. Let them take the same test. After he became president, they took the test with no new knowledge, and 80% failed before, 80% passed with flying colors.
Wow.
What does it show? It showed that there was nothing wrong with their minds and their intelligence. It was something wrong with their confidence. But because they seen someone that looked like them, that accomplished a great feat in their immediate past, they in their mind activated that spiritual peripheral vision. If he can do that, I can master this. I said, man, if that could happen, we'll learn about one black man that became a president. How much more power would it be to learn about Shaka Zulu and Nefertiti,
Mansa
Queen
Musa.
Nzinga, Mansa Musa, Imhotep,
Yeah.
the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Garvey? How much power could you put? See that kind of confidence allows you to be able to operate in a different mind, but it comes with that knowledge of self.
Knowledge of self.
That knowledge of self. So we have to dive into it. That's why if you look at the way black and white children start school, I'm talking about the preschool age, we babies start school the same way. Very timid, very scared. But if you notice how the white and the black child, as they matriculate through 12 years of education inside of that system, they learn about Thomas Jefferson, a white man, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Thales, Hypothagorus, white man. Einstein, white man.
Right.
So the black and white child, every time he learns about somebody that looked like him that accomplished great feat in the past, his shoulders began to get straighter.
Right.
His back is straight. Now and by the time he gets to 12, he walks out with confidence, ready to conquer the known world. But because we didn't learn nothing about people that look like us, that accomplished great feats in the past, we leave and our head's still down and our pants is down now too.
Wow.
But if you can take that baby and let's say we get them on that Nefertiti, that Shaka Zulu.
Yeah.
See, let's get on the knowledge of people that look like him or her that accomplished great feats in the past, then we too could have that. And that's why one of the fathers of Western education, his name was Robert Collier in 1926. He said this, he said, education is only 3/4 or 1/4 knowledge, and the other 3/4 is encouragement. And nothing encourages a child like seeing someone that looked like them accomplish great feats in the past. So that's phase one, to get that restoration where we can go back into being the prototype we're supposed to be.
Man, that's beautiful. And phase one, that's a perfect place to take a pause and wrap this first session up, man. I mean, so much wisdom.
Thank you, sir.
So
All
many
praises
gems.
to Allah.
Absolutely. And you know, the mathematics of the mind, get it now. I mean, we're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
dig
Yes,
into this in our second session. I wanna talk relationships.
Yes, sir.
I wanna talk, health, mental health, as well as, health and wellness in general. So we got a few more sessions in the honor and privilege to be in your presence, man.
Mine,
So,
Brother Nick, mine.
Brother Nuri Muhammad, dropping them gems. Like, subscribe, comment. I know they in there. I know they talking because you dropping it on them. So it's been a beautiful time. We'll catch you next session right here on Counsel Culture.